Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all the praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations, much love and respect to you brothers out there pushing this word out in truth and sincerity. Now, this is pre-Genesis mode, okay? These two false prophets, okay? Deacon Hakah and Brother Hassad. Right now, this is the new thing. Okay, the new thing, the new doctrine is that Hebrew Israelites are wrong about leprosy, and in the image, he shows the skin disease called vitiligo, right? And basically, what he seems to be saying through the thumbnail is that that is not leprosy. So we're gonna go ahead and listen to what this guy has to say because we know what leprosy is according to the scriptures. Although leprosy is a multitude of different skin diseases, it's not just one skin disease. So let's see what this guy has to say because these guys are masters at clickbait and sensationalism. So let's hear this.
Hebrew Israelites wrong on leprosy, the biblical disease. Most Israelites say that it's vitiligo, albinism, but it's not. It's much more to it. And we're going to take a look at the Levitical law today and really define and address, see how the Most High God defines and explains and depicts this biblical disease known as leprosy.
Which, like I said, it's not just one disease. There's multiple types and forms of leprosy. Okay? Now, the thing is that he's saying that that vitiligo and albinism is not a form of leprosy when it is a form of leprosy. Matter of fact, let's go straight to Numbers, the 12th chapter. So these guys are just waxing worse and worse, as the scriptures say. So this is Numbers 12 in verse 9. It says, "And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against them, and he departed, and the cloud departed from off the tabernacle. And behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous, white as snow." So that is telling you that what her skin turned so-called white. It turned like this image. Okay, she was stripped of her melanin. All right, it's clear as day. It's clear as day. Okay, and it reads, "And Aaron said unto Moses, Alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. Let her be as one dead. Let her not be, as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed, when he cometh out of his mother's womb." Because what? First of all, when a baby comes out, they're already pale. But when they come out and they're stillborn, they're even more pale. All right. So it's speaking about the paleness of her flesh. Okay. And Moses cried unto the Yahweh, saying, Heal her now, O power, I beseech thee. Right, because that's a skin disease. So that's what it's speaking about, having your skin turn so-called white. All right, it's very simple. All right, even the example here in Kings, right? This is 2 Kings 5:26, right? With Naaman, right? And Gehazi, I believe it is the person. Yeah, Gehazi, that's right. When Elisha cursed Gehazi, right? This is 2 Kings 5:25. "But he went in and stood before his master, and Elisha said unto him, Whence comest thou, Gehazi? And he said, Thy servant went no whither. And he said unto him, Wet not mine heart with thee, when the man turned again from his chariot to meet thee? Is it a time to receive money, and to receive garments, and olive yards, and vineyards, and sheep, and oxen, and men servants, and maid servants? The leprosy, therefore, of Naaman shall cleave unto thee and unto thy seed forever. And he went out from his presence a leper as white as snow. So that's telling you his skin color. Didn't say anything else. Didn't say he had boils with it. Didn't say he had scales with it. Didn't say it came with blisters. No, it said he just turned white as snow. He turned pale fleshed. His melanin was stripped. Just like when Moses put his hands into his bosom and he took it back out and it was pale fleshed, right? It was so-called white, and he put it back in and it became as his other flesh, which was brown. Very simple. Okay. You see? In the ancient world, man, you go back, you know, especially before, let's say in the time of Moses, you know, there wasn't too much people that were pale flesh, man. Most people were very, very dark, you know, dark to medium brown. Okay. You see? It wasn't until Esau started ruling and spreading himself that people started to become more pale fleshed. All right. So, anyways, let's go back to this madness. Let's hear what he got to say.
And we're going to take a look at the Levitical law today and really define.
And I didn't listen to this video. I just looked at the title. I said, oh, here he is. Here he goes going off based upon what the title and the thumbnail said.
And address, see how the Most High God defines and explains and depicts this biblical disease known as leprosy. And it all starts with Leviticus chapter 13, where we get the codified laws on leprosy. Let's get into it, y'all. Let's figure out what it is. All right. Leviticus 13:1, we're going to be reading in the NLT. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, if anyone has a swelling or rash or discolored skin that might develop into a serious skin disease, that person must be brought to Aaron the priest or one of his sons. So as you see, they're all it's encompassing more than just a color. It's swelling, rash, and the color of the skin. And not only that, it has to go deep in.
It says or, not and, it says or. He's acting like it's saying that it has to be all of these things. No, it says or, a swelling or a rash or discolored skin. Like I said from the beginning, it's not just one disease. There's multiple leprosies. Okay. There's leprosy of the house. Okay. So there's leprosy of the garment. Okay. So this guy he's playing games. It clearly says or, and he's telling the people it says and. It has to be all these together. No, discolored skin is one of them. So if your skin is brown and then you have pale flesh in the midst, or vitiligo, that is leprosy. And if your skin looks like how so-called white, that is discoloration. That's not, your skin is not supposed to look like this. Okay. Skin is not supposed to look, I don't even want to bring it back, but you see the little child that's there on the corner left, skin is not supposed to look like that. Okay? The Heavenly Father created people originally to have melanin. All right? It's discolored. Let's go
into
ahead.
The skin. The priest will examine the affected area of the skin.
So let's hear what this guy said, because he's a deceiver.
And the color of the skin.
It didn't say
more than just a color.
It didn't say and.
Or one of his sons.
So
as you see, they're all it's encompassing more than just a color. It's swelling, rash, and the color of the skin. And not only that,
or. I got to keep saying it, man. Does this guy lack reading comprehension? All this studying you guys do, you lack reading comprehension? No, he's just looking for a new way to deceive y'all. And look, 103 likes. Yo, these people, yo, Jake is simple, man. Jake is simple.
It has to go deep into the skin. The priest will examine the affected area of the skin. If the hair in the affected area has turned white and the problem appears to be more than skin deep. Key factor, more than skin deep. That's not vitiligo, or that's not albinism.
This guy's a clown. Listen, I'll give you an example right now. The spirit had it where I was burnt. I had a serious burn. I showed you brothers the image, right? And matter of fact, let me see if I could turn on my webcam real quick. Let's see if I could turn on my webcam real quick. I didn't want to do that. But let's do it real quick. Let's see. I'm gonna show you my arm, right? And I'm gonna give you an example of what that's talking about. Okay, I'm gonna give you an example right now about what that's talking about. You see my arm? You see how it's discolored? This is not leprosy, and you know how I know it's not leprosy? Because the hair on the part where it's so-called pale fleshed is dark. It's black hair. It's the same color as the hair all around my body. It's black. If this was yellow or so-called white, that would mean that this is actually leprosy and not just a burn. You understand? That's what it's speaking about, man. That's what it's speaking about. Okay? So you see, with all that get understanding, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And y'all are following a false prophet, man. All right. The reason I know that it's not leprosy that I have is because the skin over the pale flesh is dark. Okay. That's how I know. You know, that's a sign that the melanin will come back or can come back. You understand what I'm saying? Let's continue.
It is a serious skin disease, and the priest who examines it must pronounce the person ceremonially clean. And we're gonna keep going. It's going to actually explain vitiligo in this.
No, ceremonially unclean, buddy. Learn how to read. Ceremonially unclean, because you're not a clean leopard, meaning your whole body is not full of that pale flesh, which would be albinism, right? Which the Esau has a form of albinism. Okay, these Edomites. That's why when they go out in the sun, they can't stay in the sun long or they get burnt up. They get them yellow bubbles on their skin. That's a disease. That's a curse from the Most High. Okay, that's not normal. All right, that's why when Esau was born, Jacob mentioned, his skin color. Why did they mention it? Because it wasn't normal. It wasn't the average skin color. Okay, he said the first came out red, but then he didn't describe Jacob. All right.
Chapter and say that it's clean. Verse 4. But if the affected
Let's go
of
back here again.
ceremonially clean, and we're gonna keep going. It's going to actually explain vitiligo in this chapter and say that it's clean. Verse 4. But if the affected area of the skin is only a white discoloration and does not appear to be more than skin deep, and if the hair on the spot has not turned white, the priest will quarantine the person for 7 days. They got to see if this is spreading. On the 7th day, the priest.
Yeah, because like I gave you the example of myself. I got that serious 2nd-degree burn. My flesh burnt the hell off. Well, guess what? The hair is still the same color as the hair of the rest of my body. If this was like a leprosy forming, right? If this was a serious case of leprosy forming, what would happen is the hair would turn white in that leprous patch. Matter of fact, he even showed an example at the beginning of the video. Let's see if I can find it again, because he showed a couple examples. And I'll come back to that part. No. He showed one where you saw the hair. Okay, let's play this and see.
Albinism, but it's not. It's much more to it. And we're gonna take a look at the Levitical law today.
Let's go to the business. Let's go to the beginning.
Hebrew Israelites wrong on leprosy, the biblical disease. Most Israelites say that it's vitiligo, albinism, but it's not. It's much more to it. And we're going to take a look at the Levitical law today and really define and address, see how the Most High God defines and explains and depicts, or we get the codified laws on leprosy in the NLT. The Lord said, as you see, they're all
right here,
swelling.
Salakia, right there. You see that? You see this? You see how the hair is blonde? He didn't have to have this white stuff around. He could have been normal, But if the hair is blonde, which I've seen that before, a dude who has leprosy, like, hey, I've seen dudes with leprosy on their head, and the part of their hair is blonde, and the other part is is dark, is black, or on their beard. They have a leprosy. One patch of their beard is blonde, and the rest of their patch is the rest of their hair is black, right? And that skin under that beard is pale fleshed. That's what it's speaking about. Okay, so it shows you that it's deeper than the skin. It's not something that's gonna regenerate the melanin. All right, that's what it's speaking about. All right, so this guy's just out here doing what he does best, is bringing confusion. Let's go back over here.
7 days. They got to see if this is spreading. On the 7th day, the priest will make another examination. If he finds the affected area has not changed and the problem has not spread, has not turned white, the point is going to actually explain vitiligo in this chapter and say that it's clean. Verse 4. But if the affected area of the skin is only a white discoloration and does not appear to be more than skin deep, and if the hair on the spot has not turned white, the priest will quarantine the person for 7 days. They got to see if this is spreading. On the 7th day, the priest will make another examination. If he finds the affected area has not changed and the problem has not spread on the skin, the priest will quarantine the person for 7 more days. They were very serious about the spreading of leprosy in biblical times. On the 7th day, the priest will make another examination. If he finds the affected area has faded and has not spread, the priest will pronounce the person ceremonially clean. So if it doesn't spread, it's not getting worse, then they know this is not leprosy. They're ceremonially clean. It was only a rash. The person's close.
No, but hold on. But then the hair can't be discolored. The hair can't be so-called white, right? Or what some people would say is light blonde. It has to be all one color. Okay, hold on, give me a second. Let me check this out. I want to type in vitiligo. Give me a second. Let me type in vitiligo. Vitiligo. Let's type in vitiligo. Let's take a look at this. Take a look at this image. Where can we go here? Hold on here. Can't really see properly. Let's take a look here. Okay. You see how this person's hair is? You see how this person's hair is? You see how their eyebrow is a different color? You see their eyelashes are changing color to a white color, right? Because the vitiligo or the leprosy is even in the eyes. Okay, you come here, you see her, you see that patch here is white. Okay, that's because the leprosy, and this is actually more reddish than white. You know, it's like a reddish. It looks like Edomite skin here, right? But the leprosy, is in the hair, and that's a sign that that is actual leprosy. Okay, that is actual leprosy. Okay, that's the point I wanted to get. Look, this little girl here. This is a sign that it's actual leprosy. Okay. Now let's go back to the video. Oh, Salaki, let's go back to the video. Because these dudes are bringing a lot of confusion, man.
So if it doesn't spread, examination. If he finds the affected area has faded and has not spread, the priest will pronounce the person ceremonially clean. So if it doesn't spread, it's not getting worse, then they know this is not leprosy. They're ceremonially clean. It was only a rash. The person's
Yeah, but when they have vitiligo, right? What happens? The hair turns typically blonde. Okay.
clothing must be washed and the person will be ceremonially clean.
I
But
don't know if there's the reason I say typically. I don't know if there's other cases where they may not turn blonde like that, but the cases that I've seen, they turn blonde. You know, because it's deeper than the skin. You know, it's not gonna come back to its normal flesh.
if the rash continues to spread after the person has been examined by the priest and has been pronounced clean, the infected person must return to be examined again. If the priest finds that the rash has spread, he must pronounce the person ceremonially unclean, for it is indeed a skin disease. So you had the swelling, the discoloration, the rash, this deeper in the skin, and then it's starting to spread. Then it's more than just a rash. That is indeed leprosy.
No, it said no. At the beginning, it said or. It's not. These are separate things. These are separate things. You could have a couple of them together or three of them together, whatever. But there's also cases where it's separate. All right. So you have a point where, a person could just have the flesh that turns a particular color with the hair, and the hair changing color shows you that it's a leprosy. And if it continues to spread, now you know that person is unclean. Okay. But if you have, you could also have the rash, right? Which that is also a leprosy. Okay. If it continues to spread. Okay. And then you had the swelling. That's also a form of leprosy. There's different forms of leprosy, man. That's why at the beginning it said or.
Leprosy. Anyone who develops, verse 9, a serious skin disease must go to the priest for an examination. If the priest finds white swelling on the skin and some hair on the spot has turned
See,
white,
this is something totally different, right? Because you got one that's just the skin turning so-called white, and then you got one where there's white, it's white on the skin, but then it's also swelling, right? So this is a little bit of a different case.
and there is an
But the hair turning white is an important thing to watch for. Okay.
open sore in the affected area, it is a chronic skin disease. You see, it's accompanying all these three things, multiple things. And the priest must pronounce the person ceremonially clean.
No, it can encompass can encompass multiple things. Okay, but like I said, if it's just the skin turning pale fleshed, with Miriam, it didn't say nothing about no swelling. It didn't say nothing about no scabs or anything like that. With Gehazi, it didn't say nothing about no swelling. It didn't say nothing about no scabs or anything like that. It just said that his skin turned white as snow, and it was all over immediately. Right, so that is a form of leprosy. Albinism is leprosy. Vitiligo is leprosy. What these Edomites have is leprosy. Is a form of leprosy. It's just like a softer form of leprosy compared to albinism, right? The Most High just cursed them. Okay. So this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and he's spreading confusion. All right. The bottom line is that there's multiple different skin diseases in the scriptures. And one of those skin diseases is that a person would turn so-called white. Just like it spoke about Miriam, it spoke about Gehazi. It didn't mention anything about them being having a scab or a dry scalp or anything like that. It didn't mention anything of that sort. It just mentioned that they turned so-called white. So that is a form of leprosy, which is a skin disease. Okay, there's certain specific cases that the scripture was going into, but that also is a form of leprosy, and they had it all over their body from head to toe, right? Which made them what? A clean leper, as the scriptures say. All right. Didn't mean that they were covered in scab from clean head to toe. It just mean that they were covered in their whole skin was one color. That's what it means. All right. Matter of fact, it goes into it in Leviticus at some point if all the flesh turned the same color, right? Brother, I mean the brother could post it in the comment section, right? But once their whole skin turns that pale color, they're no longer unclean, but they're clean, although they still have leprosy, right? But they're clean leopards, okay? And it doesn't mean they have scabs all over their body either. How the hell could that be clean? All right. So that's the point. This guy he's bringing Okay, perfect. This is it right here. This is Leviticus 13 and verse. I'll start at verse 11. It says, I'll start at verse 10. Then it says, and the priest shall see him, and behold, if the rising up be white in the skin, and it have turned the hair white, and there be quick raw flesh in the rising, right? Which raw flesh would see what I showed you of myself, that's raw flesh because the skin is redeveloping, okay? The melanin and whatnot. So that's raw flesh. It is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover the skin of him that hath the plague from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh, then, and it's not talking about scabs now, okay? So it's talking about the skin, the flesh being white, okay? And the hair being white. Then the priest shall consider, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague. It is all turned white, he is clean. Okay, and that's what happened to Miriam. Okay, that's what happened to Miriam, right? But when raw flesh appeareth in him, he shall be unclean. Now let's look at what this word raw flesh is. Okay, let's look at this word raw. Okay, living, alive, green, flowing, lively, active, reviving. Right. So you know what? The flesh, this flesh that I showed you, this is actually not raw flesh. This is flesh that's already came together, right? So the raw flesh would be the stage that was before this, where the flesh was open. Okay, the wound was open. All right. So as long as there's no raw flesh, like as in a wound, like an open wound type thing, then guess what? It's leprosy, but it's a clean. He's clean, a clean leopard now. All right. So you have to understand that. Okay, it's leprosy, but he's now a clean leper. It didn't say it's not leprosy anymore because he didn't have that raw flesh. It said that he's now a clean leper. All right. So that's the point. And there's different kinds of leprosies, man. Okay, like I said before. So Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect. Don't follow these bug outs. All they're gonna do is confuse you. All right. They're getting all these likes because Jake is a bunch of zombies. So with that, Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect, and I'll say shalom. Mm, 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 mm.